And folks, we are live here tonight. Welcome to the first installment of Late Night on Campus. I'll be your host tonight, Donny Rightside, as always with my, partner in crime over there, the big man on campus at Jeff Nadu. We're going to have some fun on this show. This show is designed for what's going on today, what might have happened last night, to blow off some steam, go over exactly what you were looking at on your card, some thoughts. The best part about this time slot on this show is it's going to be, very informal. We have games going on our monitors each and every time. Everything's going to be, up for play, still in play, maybe even get some live calls in there. Big man, I'm excited. Late night on campus.
Yeah, we've been pushing this. We've been trying to get some kind of content late night, late action, 10 o'clock Eastern, where we're in the middle of games. I know you and I, Donnie, have talked about, once summer kind of begins and some of the late night baseball hijinks you get into, some of the crazy things go on late. It's a great time to do this. Obviously, I know it's good to kind of recap what went on and kind of chat about that. So I'm happy to do it. It's nice to do it. It's kind of our sister program to the right side of campus, which is on every day, Tuesday and Friday. So I'm excited about it. I'm glad to do it with you, man.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. And again, if you guys haven't checked out yet, go to sbrodds.com. That's exactly where we go to get the lines for some games. Big man, we have a game that's going to be tipping off at 11:15 Eastern Standard Time. I know we're going to have some thoughts on. Been watching the odds online throughout the day in this one. I have a lean that we're going to give at the end of the show to try to get some lunch money back on an earlier public fade that I had that did not work out. I think this one's going to work out a little bit better. Also tonight, big man, can't forget, sponsored by uwager.eu. I'm also going to show you the bracket that I filled out on each and every game during the first round and see how I did.
Yeah, uwager does a great job of obviously, odds and all sorts of stuff. I mean, they're one of the better sports books you're going to find. So, I would highly recommend going over there. It's always good to have multiple websites, multiple ways you get your action in. And I got to tell you, I use SBR odds quite frequently as far as me personally, as far as, they do a great job of updating the scores and the lines are right there. You have multiple books. I can kind of see where every book is and it's a great thing because there's not a lot of there are other websites that don't do that. So it's nice to have that all in one. But it's nice to be on, man. I'm happy to do this and I'm happy to have everyone on here. We're getting some people tuning in live. Obviously, it'll take a little time before people know we're on, but SBR obviously gives us a great avenue to do this, and I'm excited about it. Yeah, as far as that late night game, you and I were talking about it before we went on the show, and I agree with the play wholeheartedly. I think there's a really nice edge in that game, so we'll get into that. But Donnie, quickly, a little bit here. Some coaching news. Looks like LSU agrees to a 6-year deal with Will Wade from VCU. Looks like he's going to go south down to the Bayou. Look, we can talk about VCU. I mean, obviously, when Shaka Smart left, little tail off a little bit there, but obviously I think it's a good time for him to move on. A lot of people moving on from VCU, Mo Alley Cox and Jaquan Lewis. So hopefully he can go down to LSU and get that program turned around.
What's interesting about that is, Shaka Smart building that whole program based on that havoc type defense. Will Wade, not as much havoc as Shaka Smart had there, but it's going to be interesting to see who they go to if they want to continue down that path. As you just said, there's going to be some turnover in that program. What else is interesting, big man? If you look at Texas down there with Shaka Smart, not the best start down there. And that's big money country where if you're not producing, you're out of there. Could we possibly see, down the line somewhere if, VCU is not happy in a year or two making a hire, it doesn't work out? Does Shaka return to VCU as like, the crown king coming back to save the school?
Well, I don't know. I would doubt that. You don't see that too often. But again, I mean, Texas, obviously, we saw it with Charlie Strong. They're a high-profile group. They want to win, and I know they're in the running to get Mohamed Bamba, who's one of the higher recruits. If he could somehow pull that off, I think he'll be in Texas for a pretty long time. But it's going to take some time. But welcome to everyone out there listening in. We're going to get in some of these games. Looks like we got some, some of the odd, the normal people on the Guan Whites, the Joel McDonald's and all those guys, and a little World Baseball Classic on. You got some halftime scores, Donnie. Boise State up 34-33 at half in Illinois. UMKC and Wyoming have just kicked off the second half. Wyoming up 39-32. You also have some NBA action as well, some NHL. But let's kind of chat about what happened in college basketball. That's kind of our forte and kind of what most of people are betting on right now. What do you want to start out?
Yeah, get right. You know what? Get right in on it. There was two interesting games the way they started tonight. Coastal Carolina came out flatlined. I believe that score was like 18-2 to start with Loyola Maryland. Very interesting one. I know there's some tweets out there with other accounts that we follow where is Coastal Carolina wanted a home game, had to front the $40,000 to get the home game. Looks like they weren't going to show up. Not only did they not show up, they actually win the game 72-63 and cover the line. One of those real interesting ones, whereas, again, college basketball, these are kids. 16 points, we've seen those leads evaporate. It was just about gone before the half, and Coastal Carolina, the better overall team in this game, just put the pedal to the metal in the second half and won that one fairly easily.
Yeah, I mean, Coastal had 2 points in the first 6 minutes, so they were getting crushed early on. Actually, Matt, one of the producers at SBR, he hit me up and said, hey, did you see Loyola Maryland? They're up to I think 15-2 lead. And I didn't have anything on the game. Loyola Maryland, a team that isn't lined very often, but when they are a very effective road team over the years. But, the undoing with Loyola Maryland is they play that Patriot League offense, don't really score a whole hell of a lot. And, Coastal kind of just did them in. They were the better team late, and Cliff Ellis's boys get a win and a cover. So if you had the Chanticleers or Claires or whatever they're called,
Chanticleers,
you got some money in that one.
Hey, by the way, big man, this is going to feed right into what we get into later on Cal State, Bakersfield, Colorado State. Check this out. Final score in the Coastal Carolina game, 72-63. I'm not a mathematician, but that one would add up to 135. That line opened up at Chris at 136, promptly bet and closed at 142 in that one, and didn't even win at the start, but obviously bet up there. There's a couple key instances here a little bit later where some of these lines, we see it all year long during the season. A line opens up at 145, gets bet to 143, maybe 146.5. But these wild swings of almost double digits in the totals, very rare to see.
Well, I think it's the books are kind of catching up with the bad lines that they're putting out early on with some of these. Now we have a week to digest what happened in the rule changes. Now they can kind of, recap it and make those changes, and they did. I mean, you look at some of the other games tonight. Central Florida, which we'll get into next. That one just missed out. And if you look at the opener, 126.
Went
up to it. Not a lot of movement. Went up to 128.5 at one point, but that one stayed under the total. How about that game though? I mean, Central Florida. A team that, if you look throughout the game, they were down the whole game. For the most part, they're in Illinois, they're in Normal, and they're trying to beat a team in Illinois State who a lot of people have pegged to win this tournament. I don't know if you watched the game late, but BJ Taylor gets into a corner, a jump ball, and they have possession. Mikhail McIntosh goes to the line, hits 2 free throws. They go up 1. BJ Taylor, the smart senior that he is, dribbles down, gets contacted, falls down, and they call a foul. He hits 2 foul shots, and they win the game. A smart move by B.J. Taylor. And this Johnny Dawkins, Donnie, did this at Stanford. He was the NIT king, it seemed like, winning a couple of those. I thought a great hire down in Central Florida. And now look, they're one win away from New York City and heading in. I like the Central Florida team. I was happy to see them win, and they cover easily. They win the game outright.
Yeah, looking at SBR odds, just going over the numbers throughout the day, looks like they closed about a 5.5-point dog, UCF, which, Jeff, we've been following UCF all year long. I have to admit, seeing that line earlier in the day was kind of shocking, even though I know how good Illinois State is. But most of the betting public, you would figure, said, oh, my gosh, UCF, I know they play well. They're in a bigger conference. They're getting 5 points. I'll just take it. It ended up working at the end, but looked like a dicey situation. The only thing that was interesting in that one is actually, Jeff, the public was more on side with Illinois State than they were UCF. But again, we've seen UCF live and in person. That team doesn't give up. Temple had them down the entire first half when we went to the game, and then a quick blistering run. Temple again had the lead late in the game. UCF sees it. That team's built for this.
Yeah, they are. And, the one thing that kind of kept me off of it, and, I kind of thought, maybe the line was right where it needed to be, 4.5-ish. But the one issue I had was Central Florida had not been a good road team against the spread. They just weren't a team that I really wanted to kind of get involved with. Obviously, I like this team, but Illinois State kind of had something to prove. They were a team that I kind of thought had a chip on their shoulder. But, you look at UCF, I mean, they just kind of do their normal. We're going to shoot 40%. We're going to make some threes, and we're going to try to defend. And, look, B.J. Taylor, I actually will give Pistol Pete Loshak some credit. I remember a roundtable before you came on the roundtable, back like one of the first roundtables we ever did. And I remember Loshak and I both agreed that when B.J. Taylor came back for Central Florida in conference play, they would be a really tough out for a lot of teams, and they're showing that. I mean, B.J. Taylor, 22 points tonight. He was 11 for 11 from the line. A very solid team. Taco Fall didn't do much tonight, and they still were able to get the win. But we know Taco doesn't necessarily have to score to be a tough player to deal with. So nice win. I'm happy to see them move on.
Yeah, no, definitely nice win. Now, be remiss if we don't give any props to this next game. UT Martin and Campbell, you've been on Campbell for quite a while now.
Yep.
Just watching that team go. They just continue. I mean, this was a team dead in the water midseason, makes a late run, and you can see they're still hot. They want to play. I mean, it's something to watch.
Yeah, I think the run in the Big South tournament really kind of showed this team, hey, we can play some basketball. And what makes it scarier is Chris Clemens is coming back next year. He's gonna rule the roost next year down in that conference. And they jumped out to a 37-19 lead. And look, I was on Tennessee Martin I think Thursday. They were a pretty solid play at home against NC Asheville. But Corey Clemens, 26 points tonight. Not Corey Clemens, Chris Clemens, 26 points tonight. They hit 13 threes as a team. Skyhawks really didn't have an answer all night. It was never really much of a game. Campbell just continues to win. Good job by the Camels.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting into
Look
one
out
more
for them going forward, by the way.
Just a hot team. Like, I like teams that get hot, big man. I mean, you're right about that.
They can win that tournament.
Yeah. Let's talk about another game. One play I had today, which, again, wasn't a premium play. As you see me or follow me on Twitter, I'm big on public fades. If a game looks a little bit too good to be true, you like to dip in a little bit and try to sneak in a side. Weber State, Texas A&M, Corpus Christi tips off. Me and Big Man decided on that game. We both liked Texas A&M Corpus Christi as a lean in that game. Did you give that out as a premium yourself, Big Man, or no?
No, I did not. I have a premium in the Boise, Illinois game.
Gotcha. Texas A&M Corpus Christi, Weber State. Jeremy Sanglin's one of my favorite players. Been watching the Big Sky all year long. Really getting to know that team. But they came up a little bit banged up. Flu-like symptoms for Sanglin here. Didn't matter tonight. I mean, the kids still went off. Texas A&M Corpus Christi does pull out the win by 9 points. Covers comfortably in that game. I believe it opened up as a pick and rightfully maybe ends about maybe 1.5 or 2. And not really in doubt. It got a little bit close later, but, I mean, it was almost a wire-to-wire win by Texas A&M tonight.
Yeah, there was a lot of question marks on who would play for Weber State. Obviously Sanglin had the flu. And Zach Braxton and Kendall Hill, they were possibly not going to play. But, look, Corpus Christi, I talked about them. Rashawn Thomas is a fantastic player. He's not ready to end his senior season. And Corpus Christi, did the job. They were the home team in this game. They were short favorite. Just too many injuries, too many banged up guys for Weber. That one falls just short. And the Wildcats head on back to Utah.
Yeah, Big Man. I'm just sitting here watching some of the monitors up there. Of course, I have the Boise State game on. But also, now it's invading on ESPNU is women's college basketball. Which, I mean, I guess they got to get their games in when the men aren't playing. But, boy, you want to talk about me, changing the channel on one of them right now. It's just about what I'm going to do here live.
The good thing about women's basketball, I'm going to tell you what it is. There's two things good about it. One is Maria Taylor. We see a lot of her. And I'm a big fan, if you don't know, of Maria Taylor. But, you also see the hot assistant coaches on the bench. There's always very hot assistant coaches. That's another thing I got to like about it. But what up, Mark Thompson? He's a good listener. White Guy Video Games, our boy. He's got a question here. Why is Gonzaga -3? I think West Virginia is an easy call. Not sure why you would think that. I'm not sure.
Big man. Come on, man. You've been fighting this all year long. Let it go. Let it go.
Well,
go
listen,
ahead.
We know I love Gonzaga. I'll admit I'm concerned a little bit about West Virginia, but Mark Few's a great coach. The great thing about the Sweet 16 is you have a week to prepare, basically. Not a week, 5 days, let's say, where you're going to be able to prepare. You're going to be able to get ready. And look, it's tough to prepare for that zone. But, Gonzaga, I think they had a little scare the other night against Northwestern. And I think they really are a team that generally over the years bounces back and focuses after a square effort maybe. I don't know. I have to look more into the game. I am a little concerned just because the press is always concerning. But the good thing about a press is it's breakable. If you can break it, you're going to get some wide open, easy shots. I also looked down at Kornowski, and
there you go.
I'm not sure I see someone on West Virginia that will be able to handle him. Listen, it's going to be a great game. I'm excited for it. But the great thing about Gonzaga here is, where is this game, by the way? I think it's in where is it?
It's out at San Jose, I want to say, right?
So, yeah. I mean, obviously a West Coast trip. And you have to figure West Virginia, they went home. Now they're going to go back out on the West Coast. This is going to be a great game. I'm not sure I'll bet on this one, but we'll see.
Big man, let's go. I mean, we've all seen, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, but we haven't had a show that we got to talk about maybe some of the games last night and yesterday, which were really interesting games. And we'll skip the end. I mean, Belmont, Georgia Tech, and all that stuff. We can skip that stuff. Let's get to the later stuff. Wichita State and Kentucky. The game played out to me. I did have a premium play on that one and snuck in the back door with Wichita State in that one. It actually played out exactly the way I thought. I mean, Wichita State is going to test you mentally and physically and play a brand of basketball, especially with a younger team like Kentucky that's going to draw them in. But late in the game, under 3 minutes ago, it's 58-51 Kentucky. But we've seen it all year long, Jeff. Kentucky has had these leads right around the spread number and almost locked up. And it's not losing focus, because when you're in 58-51 games, it's not about losing focus. Wichita State just closed in that one. Kentucky, for some reason, has a problem closing down the stretch against the number, not actually winning the basketball game, because they did pull it out. Any thoughts on that moving forward? I know you're not going to probably catch Kentucky laying 10 points or getting 10 points from here on out, but it's always food for thought. Yeah,
look, I mean, Wichita had a valiant effort. I mean, they really did. They played really well. They didn't really crawl up and go away. And at 58-51 with 3 minutes to go, you're thinking maybe Kentucky will roll and win by double digits here. But, Landry Shamet gets fouled, makes the layup, goes to the line, hits a three-point play. And at that point, I kind of thought it'd be a close game. And then De'Aaron Fox fouls Shamet on a three. He hits all three foul shots. But, yeah, I mean, that's kind of been Kentucky's MO. Again, they're young. It's hard to really teach that. And at this point, it's survive and move on. And that's what Kentucky did. I had a 3.5 ticket. It is what it is. Yeah. I could have got 3 and pushed, but just got a bad number there, I guess, and I lost. But, Kentucky going forward, yeah, I mean, the problem for them all year has been closing games out, playing up to their opponent, and playing some defense. But, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I just thought they were a little bit better team than Wichita was. But Greg Marshall, again, a really good team. I didn't think they'd be this good this year. Yeah, let's talk about another game. Kansas and Michigan State, which, again, I didn't have any play on the game. Thought Kansas would win the game. Obviously, they did. But to me, it's just nice to see Michigan State out of it, because I don't want to hear about Izzo's the greatest thing, like he's won 19 straight championships and, January, February, Izzo, April. I mean, all this stuff where it comes down to. It was nice to see the better team, Kansas, pull away and blow the doors off them and move on. Never was a big Michigan State fan as it goes on. And again, it's one of those things where, some people don't like Duke, some people don't like other teams. For me, sometimes it's Michigan State, because all I hear is about, when they win, it was all Izzo. It had nothing to do with anything else, but Izzo was the best coach. Nice for me to see them out. Yeah, they didn't have much chance in this game. I mean, Kansas led the whole way from what I remember. I didn't watch much of this game, and it was a 5-point game and a half, but, Kansas did enough. Michigan State, I thought at some point would be blowed out, and they were here. I didn't watch much of this game, but listen, I don't think I can. Tom Izzo's still a guy that I don't want to bet against in March, and why I didn't bet against him yesterday. But they need another year. They're really young. I mean, that's the great thing about it. And Kansas, I'm not in love with Kansas. I mean, I like their guards, but not much else. Yeah, they can get beat down low. If we move on, yes, so just do another quick recap there. Arkansas and North Carolina is supposed to be the highest flying game of the night. 165.5 is really rare for Power 5 conference teams, especially in March Madness. As you know, I did put a nice little public fade on that under. Didn't even come close to the number in that one, finishing at 72.65. But other than that, Jeff, Arkansas could have stole that game, got no help from the referees down the stretch.
some key, travel / block calls that should have been called. Arkansas goes down, maybe good for the tournament because you want teams like UNC in it because they're fun to watch. But Arkansas had every chance to win that and didn't get any help from the Stripes.
Yeah, I had Arkansas money line, Donnie.
I know you did. Yep.
I had a small piece on that. I'd said on our show that we did yesterday, you and I mentioned I'd take a shot at Arkansas on the money line. And listen, they got screwed at the end. I thought it was a clear foul at the end there on that three. They didn't, or not a foul. They possession. Kentucky clear or UNC clearly touched it at the end there. But yeah, you look. I mean, another case where UNC is just a little bit better of a team, but. Arkansas showed me something. They're well coached. They had a great year. They just kind of fell into a better team, and it sucked because I had a nice ticket price on that game. But what are you going to do? That's what happens sometimes when you get those big money line favorites, underdogs. Donnie, we got a question here. Will Florida's length give Wisconsin problems? Had money line over Nova, not as confident. Good, Dylan. I'm glad you listened to me. I don't know if you listened to me or not, but we were both on that. Yeah, that's an interesting game. Wisconsin playing great basketball right now. Obviously, they beat Villanova. You're doing something right when you beat Villanova. Koenig's playing out of his mind. But this Florida team, Donnie, playing really well, held Virginia to 39 points the other night, which is, I think, a record. I haven't seen that in some time, 39 points in a playoff type game. What do you think about that one?
So I'm, about that one itself, I like to take it to the next level, big man. Looking at Madison Square Garden, right? Centerpiece of the country when it comes to basketball. They're about to line up Villanova and Duke in the Garden and just have the place burned down. And you get left with Wisconsin and Florida, which you might as well go to sleep in that game. And then you say, oh, we're going to have an exciting game right after, right before it. Baylor, South Carolina. The NCAA can't be happy about that, big man.
No, I mean, you look at that Madison Square Garden games, not a lot to be excited about there. Obviously, you'd love to see Duke Villanova in the Garden. That would be quite the game. But yeah, no, I mean, South Carolina and, Florida, Wisconsin, definitely not teams that I would pay. I got to tell you, I looked at ticket prices. They're not cheap either to go to that game, even before the tournament. So, they definitely got screwed there. Gio Anderson obviously doesn't like Lonzo Ball. Listen, if you have an agenda and you come on here, I can't really, if you just don't like Lonzo Ball, I mean, we can't not say he's not a good player. He's a great player. He's going to go number one probably. You could hate his parents or whatever, but listen, you can't hate the kid. He seems like a nice kid overall. He's played very well this year, and he's really made them relevant. And I think made Steve Alford look a lot better than he really is.
Big man, can you imagine if Lonzo Ball was very outspoken and because I mean he's that good where he can go up and down the court and taunt the crowd and taunt the other team and trash talk. Can you imagine he would lead like Skip Bayless and all these shows every single day with something, especially with his dad. Kid just goes about his business, balls out, and plays really well. And it doesn't help that his dad's in the back chirping all the time, but the kid seems to have a level head on his shoulders, much more than his dad. Yeah,
I don't know where it kind of missed him. He doesn't really talk too much, which is pretty cool. I mean, he's obviously a kid that knows he's really good, and he could talk all he wants. But look, he can back it up at the end of the day. But yeah, against Kentucky, early on, I give the edge to UCLA in that game. But, we'll talk about that the rest of the week. Yep. We have plenty of shows to talk about that. Just a couple more things tonight, guys, and then we'll wrap it up. We don't want this show particularly long, but a nice little kind of wrap to the day. How about Texas-Arlington, Donnie? They lay it to Akron tonight, laying 5, a really solid win for UT Arlington and a team that – is really starting to catch fire. And I got to tell you, I think that loss in the Sun Belt tournament really made it a point for these guys to kind of take this tournament serious and show the country that they probably should have been in the tournament. And it was just one bad game. You look at, they crushed BYU, put up 105 points. Now tonight they hammer an Akron team that has really played poorly over the last month plus.
Yeah, no, I agree. I definitely agree with that. Also, I mean, Akron a little bit out of gas. Isaiah Johnson, I know he came in a little bit nicked with his knee, but I mean, they just walked into a buzzsaw tonight. It happens in the NIT. I mean, these kids are going on the road and, home team's going to have a better. But again, you have to remember, most of these teams, especially with Akron, lost, their dream matchup game, in the MAC final in Cleveland versus Kent State in order just to get there. So pretty much playing on fumes at this time of the year. And by the way, big man, I'd be remiss on our picks that we had with You Wager. Went 10-6 to the number in the first round. You know me, I don't bet that much. I only had 4 premium wagers last week. I should have laid the wood on all 16. Would have went 10-6 for some good cash from there. How did you do in the first round picking all those games?
I had a profitable week myself as far as the premiums. I know that the big thing for me though has been the NIT. I mean, I went 3-0 last week in the NIT. Took all underdogs. They all came through. I'm a lot like you with betting, Donnie. I don't bet a lot of games either. I only had 11 plays last week. I went 7-4. So, for me, that was good enough, and I'll take the money and move on. But let's get to this late game, Donnie.
Yeah,
maybe give out a free play to a couple people. This one's going in about 45 minutes, 50 minutes away. Cal Bakersfield, Colorado State, 621, 622. NIT, what do you like here?
Yeah, no, I was actually going to ask you, do you have a side in that game you like? Because I'm leaning on a total here.
No, I actually like the total as well. So
there we go. Yeah, I mean, what we talked about earlier, and we don't have to get in any long, exact science of what we like there. Just breaking it down on its simplest form. If you ever watch Cal Bakersfield, not exactly a track meet type of squad. And if you look at Colorado, they have a condensed bench. Again, not exactly a track meet kind of squad. Usually I like to say, the smartest man in the room is the man that makes the line. This line opened up at Chris at 125 and a line of -6. The over is getting pounded heavily, which a lot of times in the tournament, the trend is that these games are going over. But this trend opened up at 125 and is now sitting at 136. That's an 11-point difference than what the odds makers thought it would be. And some people will say like, hey, sharp money's pushing up. I mean, that's fine and good, but sharp money is nailing that game at 125, 126, 127. Sharp money's not hitting that at 136. I'm going to go for my second public fade of the day, big man. I'm going to take the 136 and sit on the under in this one. And let's play some Cal State Bakersfield defense and walk it up the court for me. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, Bakersfield really is a fantastic defense team. I mean, they're only allowing 63 points a game this year. They're top 20 defense as far as that's concerned. And, I think the mirage the other night against Cal is a little bit of a mirage. They don't shoot that way ever. They don't make threes. They're a terrible free throw shooting team. On the road this year, Donnie, shooting just 60% from the line. A terrible defensive or a terrible free throw shooting team, and they're very good defensively. Don't make a ton of shots. I also don't look at Colorado State. I'm not in love with their offense either. John Clavel, a really good player, but other than that, I mean, they played pretty good defensively as well here in this one in this season as well. So for me, I'll look under as well. I think 136 is just too many. I think this is like a 68, 62 type of game. It'll be around 130, but I don't think it'll get any higher than that. I like it. I think we're dead right here. And we'll fade the public on this one.
Yep, you got it, big man. Any other thoughts before we get out of here tonight?
Yeah, so again, listeners, feel free to throw a couple dollars on that. You try to cash out a winner here late night. Yeah, Donnie, just a couple things that I saw this weekend out in Vegas.
Sure.
Some big bets, that sort of thing. Always people like to see that stuff, right? Better at Campter Gaining took a $417,000 money line bet on North Carolina, Donnie.
In the Sweet 16, or they already laid it down?
Against the Arkansas Razorbacks. 417,000 brought him back $42K. Nice little payday for 2.5 hours, right? I know he was probably sweating at the end, right?
Yeah, he probably put it out of account with $1 billion in. I don't know if he was sweating too much on that. You know what I mean?
Another bettor also at Cantor Gaming did a 2-team parlay, and I told you, Donnie, bettors nowadays, this is how they're betting. 80,000 2-team money line parlay. Took Purdue -550 against Vermont. Parlayed it with West Virginia against Bucknell. He made a cool $21,000. So, very low risk, nice little reward back. People, here's what you have to understand about these bridge jumpers. And I just want to point this out. Many people look at and say to someone and say, how do you risk $5,000 to win $50? If he put that in his savings account, do you know how long it would take for him to make $50? He'd have to wait.
That's a shoebox wager. I'm not going to be doing that one.
But he'd have to wait a month or two to make that wager. For them, it's guaranteed. It's very unlikely. It's almost impossible for it to happen. So for people like that, they make a quick $50, which again, I probably wouldn't do it, but if I had a ton of money, I wouldn't give a fuck, really.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, our next show is coming up with the right side of campus. Do we have exact dates that we want to give out on this, or when we're doing it this week?
Yep, we're going to be on tomorrow at 12:30 Eastern. We're also going to be on Friday at 12:30 Eastern.
Is that the round table tomorrow, big man, we're doing?
No, the round table is Wednesday. Where we'll be joined by Drew Martin, Donny Rightside, Ian Cameron, Ed Fang. We'll have a new guest, Martin Green. He's going to join us, a sports writer from the UK, and as always, yours truly. So yeah, Donny, it was fun chatting it up here. I know it'll continue to be fun. I, for one, am ready for college basketball to end, to be honest. I'm ready to move
We got some good times. There's still some money to be left on the table. I love it. I mean, I love the Sweet 16 and Elite 8, and the Final Four is one of my favorite days, especially, get together with your boys and party on that one. But it is going to be good. Tonight's first version of Late Night on Campus was a lot of fun. We're going to do this Monday through Friday, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, just a lighthearted. We'll go over some games as we did tonight. And certainly once we get into baseball season, going to be a lot more to talk about, much, much more games. Tomorrow on the right side of campus, we'll delve into some of the games, get into some of the nuts and bolts on some of the games tomorrow, and certainly looking forward to the Sweet 16 and Elite 8. I want to thank the SBR Forum tonight. Check out SBRodds.com and also UWager. Big man, it's been a lot of fun doing tonight. We'll be back tomorrow on the right side of campus in that noon hour, and we'll have a lot of fun as well. And
I took some questions down that some people had as far as some of the games coming up. What we'll do tomorrow on the show is we'll talk about the Thursday games because we won't be on again until Friday. We'll do everything else that we normally do. Thanks for joining in, guys. Everyone have a great night, and we'll be back again with another edition of the Late Night on Campus. Check us out tomorrow at 12:30 Eastern.
Take care, guys. Thanks for tuning in.